Hi, welcome to The Integrated Life, where biblical wisdom meets modern psychology. And today we're going to be talking about how to unlock your God-given creativity. In 1990, J.K. Rowling boarded a delayed train from Manchester to London. She was exhausted, broke, and without a pen. But as she looked out the window, a boy wizard named Harry Potter walked fully formed into her imagination. Rowling later said, "I simply sat and thought for 4 hours, and all the details bubbled up in my brain." Psychologists call this the incubation effect. Some of our most creative breakthroughs don't happen when we're grinding away at a desk, but when we step back, in rest, daydreaming, or even boredom. Studies from the University of California showed that people who took breaks and let their minds wander solved 41% more creative problems than those who pushed straight through. But here's the deeper question. Why? Why is the human mind wired to dream, invent, and imagine in the first place? Why do we get flashes of insight that feel like gifts, not just calculations? The answer is as old as Scripture, because we are made in the image of a creator. So God created mankind in his own image. In the image of God, he created them. Creativity isn't just for artists. It's the fingerprint of God on every human soul. Modern neuroscience has uncovered what's called the default mode network, the set of brain regions that light up when you're not focused on an immediate task. When you're walking, showering, or lying in bed half asleep, this network stitches together fragments of memory, emotion, and knowledge into something new. It's why ideas often arrive in the margins of life. The brain is wired not just to repeat information, but to recombine it. The Bible gives us the why behind the wiring. God is a creator. He speaks and galaxies whirl into being. He shapes Adam from dust, Eve from rib, Eden from wilderness, and then he makes humanity in his own image. Which means we're designed not just to consume creation, but to cultivate it. C.S. Lewis called this subcreation. Just as a child uses wooden blocks given by her father to build castles and towers, we take the raw materials of God's world, words, wood, paint, steel, melody, code, and rearrange them into something that reflects his glory. Think of creativity as gardening. God provides the soil, seed, and sun. Our role is not to invent life itself, but to tend and cultivate until something beautiful grows. When Exodus described Bezalel, the craftsman filled with the Spirit to build the tabernacle in Exodus 31, it reminds us that creativity itself is spiritual. God equips people to make things that mirror his beauty and point others back to him. Author and pastor Ajit Fernando once wrote, "The Christian life is meant to be one of joy, because we are constantly seeing the beauty of God revealed in new ways as we serve him." Creativity is one of the ways that beauty shows up. It's not about self-glory, but about discovering fresh expressions of God's truth and goodness in the world. So here's the question. How do you see creativity in your life? Not just in art or music, but in problem solving at work, raising kids, making meals, or navigating a conversation. Unlocking God-given creativity begins with believing you already have it, not as a rare gift for a select few, but as part of what it means to bear his image. The tragedy isn't that some people aren't creative. The tragedy is that many people bury their creativity under busyness, fear of failure, or the lie that it doesn't matter. Let's boil this down to a few pithy truths. First, creativity is not a talent, it's a trust. God entrusts each of us with raw material, time, skills, relationships, resources, and asks us to shape them for his glory. Second, creativity flourishes in rest, not just in effort. We don't force every insight. Some of the best breakthroughs happen when we slow down enough to let the brain and the spirit breathe. And third, true creativity serves, not just self-expresses. The world says, create to build your brand. Scripture says, create to build God's kingdom and bless others. Psychology can measure brain waves, run MRI scans, and describe the process of divergent thinking. It tells us how ideas form, but not why humans long to create in the first place. Why do we write songs no one asked for, paint murals on walls, or compose symphonies that may never earn a dime? From a purely evolutionary view, creativity looks like wasted energy. But Christianity makes sense of it. To create is to reflect the Creator. When we write, sing, design, or even engineer solutions, we are echoing God's own act of bringing order and beauty out of chaos. As John 1 declares, "Through him all things were made. Without him nothing was made that has been made." Our creativity is derivative, but it is divine in origin. But let's be real. Most of us don't feel like creative people. You might say, "I'm not an artist, I just crunch numbers," or "I just raise kids." But creativity isn't limited to galleries or stages. A mechanic diagnosing an unusual sound in an engine, a mom finding a new bedtime routine that helps her toddler finally sleep, a teacher turning a boring subject into something that lights up a student's imagination. This is creativity. It's problem solving with love at the center. And sometimes creativity requires patience. Many of history's greatest artists, inventors, and missionaries produced their best works slowly, imperfectly, over decades. God is not demanding flawless output. He's inviting you to make a faithful offering. There are plenty of examples in Scripture of God displaying his creativity through his people. Think about Bezalel and Oholiab from Exodus 31. God filled them with his spirit to design the tabernacle, gold, silver, fabrics, and embroidery. Their art was an act of worship. Creativity in Scripture is spirit-empowered craftsmanship. Or think of David. Beyond being a warrior, he was a poet and a songwriter. The Psalms are creative theology, truth wrapped in beauty, which have shaped worship for millennia. And of course, there's Jesus. His parables are masterworks of creative storytelling. He had a way of using simple images, seeds, lamps, coins, to illuminate eternal truth. The Bible doesn't treat creativity as a side hobby. It's woven into God's mission. So how do you unlock your God-given creativity when you feel stuck? Here's one practice. Set aside 15 minutes this week to make something small and dedicate it to God. Write a prayer in poetry form. Cook a meal for a friend. Create a new game that will delight your kids. Solve a problem at work with fresh eyes. Don't do it for likes, money, or applause. Do it as worship, because when you create, you're not just expressing yourself, you're echoing the Creator. And who knows, in those small offerings, you may find not only new ideas, but a deeper joy in the one who made you creative in the first place. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.